Like to call this meeting to order pursuant general law, chapter 30A, section 20, hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of this meeting. First up, we have any public comment from anyone? Hi, Kathy.
Kathy Hall from the Lee Youth Commission. Just want to report that the ice is perfect down at the Lee Athletic Field for skating. Just want to caution people about the temperature. We do have charts up at the front gate and in the back of the tennis court fence to let you know, the different temperature and how long you can be outside without getting frostbite. So just a precautionary thing, but the ice is perfect for skating.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
How's the attendance been? People getting down there, just like Rockefeller Center?
During the Christmas break, people were down there.
That's fabulous.
So there was no skating for almost a week, but.
It's back at it. Great.
Good.
That's cool. Yes. Yeah.
And I live on Maple Street. I've been in Lee for a couple of years. I love your community. I hope I live here for the rest of my life. I'm on that really special stretch of Maple Street between Orchard and sort of the cemetery, which is like a unique little ecosystem up there. And it's really idyllic. My neighbors have been wonderful, and you really don't know that the Housatonic corridor is down below us at all. It's kind of hidden and it's, removed until recently. And that's why I'm here tonight. I was as thrilled as anyone else when Starbucks came. I love coffee. I drink coffee all day. I go in there. I'm really pleased to see how proud the young people are to be working there. And I work with the community garden, and they've been very generous in giving us coffee grounds to put in our compost and everything. So I'm a big fan of having Starbucks there. But there's one thing that I think is not so great for us living up on Maple Street. They have a large sign, illuminated sign on the back of the building that's on all night. And it's really bringing the Housatonic corridor up literally into our living rooms, because, when you look out the back, you can see it. And I was actually looking at the code, the town code, because I was wondering, what the rules were about the signage and all. And I brought it because it has really lovely language in it. In section 199, which says that the purpose of the CBC is to create an attractive and desirable entrance to the center of Lee that preserves the historical character of the corridor and the surrounding area. And additionally, the intent of the town of Lee for the commercial business corridor district is to maintain aesthetic sensitivity and compatibility with the surrounding community and minimize the overall impact of it. And so I just would like you to consider whether that signage is really appropriate. My reading of the zoning rules are that the businesses there are allowed one sign, and by my count, Starbucks has 3. They no longer illuminate the sign in the front of the building that says, Starbucks across like this, but it's the one in the back. It just is, it's huge. And you can see it from up on Maple Street, almost as broad as day. And it doesn't seem to have any function.
That's a Starbucks sign back there, or a directional sign?
Big Starbucks sign. And there's illumination over the drive-in window, so it's not illuminating anything. All it is advertising. Anyone who's back there knows there is.
Nobody, yeah.
So I wonder if you could.
It is, and I'm trying to remember.
I would be there.
I don't think they had one. Because remember, they had to come in for they had to come in because they had a roof sign at first. And we go, no, and they came back with their one wall sign for the front.
So you allowed one wall sign in the front, you allowed one freestanding sign.
Right. Now they've got the wall sign in the back, and it's on all night long.
You know,
What,
I
they're
was
hours
gonna
of
ask
operation, they're not.
I think it's like 6 to 12 or something. I mean, they're very long, but I've actually been up occasionally past 12, not very often. But it's on all night. They don't turn it off.
I say, I don't understand. Maybe we should send them a letter.
I think we'll have, Yeah.
Oh.
Commission.
Matt check it out, pull the
Yep.
permit, have Matt pull the permit and see what they are permitted for, because it should only be, and it says Starbucks, it's not a directional.
Oh, it says,
Not-
it's that long horizontal.
Yeah, and it's on the back,
In the back.
never, yeah.
It's facing the parking lot. It's facing the houses up on Maple
Okay.
Street. So it's very intrusive. Pardon?
Did it illuminate or?
Yeah, it's illuminated. It's a
That's legal there. If,
internally illuminated.
Yeah, but I mean, hers in the back,
in the front.
in the front,
The one in the
yes.
front, they've turned off recently. The one in the back is illuminated all night long.
But the one in the back is illuminated. That was my question. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and it's, actually, you might want to look at the size too, because again, if looking at the zoning, it says that the signs, the wall signs shouldn't be larger than.
It's a square footage.
I think it's 12 square feet. They're
Sound-
saying right at that, but it, if
Yeah.
you're looking, you might want to look at that too. So-
So Matt, he's our, the building commissioner is our enforcement officer with signage, and he's also, this one, the planning board saw, but from a couple months ago on, all will be done with the building commissioner, and he's also the enforcement officer, so we'll have him pull the permit, see what it is, and at least hours of operation, they should,
Yeah.
there's no need. I can see keeping the one out by the street illuminated,
Maybe,
but
but
not,
it would be great if they could just back, why do they need it? I know.
I'm not, honestly, I'm not,
McDonald's doesn't have one, McDonald's doesn't have one in the back by their through, so why would they even need it back?
not sure if they even had one on their plan, so
Okay,
we'll see what happened.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have Pinnacle Way Covenant, Form E1.
Mr. Chair, can we change the video to include the microphone of the public? Is that possible? So we can see, are they speaking at the podium?
Yeah.
And I didn't get, I don't know if that woman announced her name or anything. Did we get that on record?
We did what?
It's Marilyn Wyatt. She did.
Marilyn Wyatt.
Maple Street.
Great, thank
Maple
you. Appreciate it.
I see your hand up now, Matt. Sorry.
That's okay.
And Peter's remote with us tonight. What's up with that, Peter?
Oh, I came down with a cold yesterday and I'd be sneezing all over you guys if I was down there.
Appreciate it. That's why we have hybrid. That's perfect.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna heckle Peter like you heckle me.
my time is
You,
coming.
Matt.
My time is coming.
You don't even have video, so we know you're in your pajamas already.
I don't want to be distracting. But there you go.
We'll stop there. We'll stop there. Get ready for Aruba.
Thank you, Beth. That's perfect.
There he is. Hey, he does have clothes on.
Thank you, Beth.
Yes, sir. Guess we got to be serious now?
It's up to you. It's okay.
All right.
My name is Mark Stokel. And what you have before you this evening is a request made by SK Design for a final release of covenant of Pinnacle Way. Very briefly, the subdivision was designed, I believe, in 2004. And can't give you all the history on it because we weren't involved in it from the beginning. We've been involved since, but not since. The current developer, Adam Hirsch, we're representing this evening, has asked that we go ahead. The final coat of pavement has been put on. I provided the board with some pictures, but it was 2 weeks ago and there's snow on the ground, but there's not now. It wasn't a lot to see, but the utilities are in, they're all connected to the homes. Historically, they had some sewer problems that were resolved. some broken pipes and some plugs going on. I think that was a result of some of the construction, possibly some of the contract. It's been resolved. And I did a reduction of the building lot plan and highlighted it in yellow for the perimeter of the property.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. The audio is coming and going. I wonder if the speaker could move the podium closer to the microphone or have another speaker handed to him, or another microphone handed to him.
On wheels.
All right, good. Thank you.
Here we go.
Don't get too close, he's got a cold.
So again, we're asking for release of the covenant. It was made out to former owners and developers, but it's still on file. And so we're doing some housekeeping and we're trying to get it resolved. And is there any questions the board or anybody might have, but that's our intention this evening.
So, you have. Okay. Houses on 2 or 3 of the lots, right?
Yeah, 3 of them, but bear with me. There's been some, that's why I highlighted the perimeter.
Yeah.
There's some adjustments that's been done over the years through Form As. Still within that perimeter, but shifting lot lines. So that's why I encompass the property rather than listing, you know, I did list lots, but I wanted the board to know that however they're now divided, that's the
And this is,
perimeter.
what name is this street now?
Pinnacle.
It's Pinnacle now,
It
not
used to be called for,
Erskine Park.
yeah, which is confusing because the other one's Erskine Drive.
So we'll definitely know that it's not that one yet.
Not that one. That one is not ready for anything. There's still things to be done on that.
Yeah,
But I listed it as it was listed in the covenant, just so try to keep the paperwork straight.
Anybody take a ride up?
I was up there.
Yeah, it's,
The top coat's all done.
top coat's done.
Drainage, all looks good.
There's some, I mean, is lot 3 gonna be buildable? Look like a lot of cattails in there.
No,
Happens.
I'm not to be a wise guy, but over 20 years, anything can happen, as we know, so, you know,
There.
make a filing on that.
So all the things, right?
Yes, yes. What sparked this, one of the attorneys asked that we do on the buyer's behalf. Asked to, you know, Alan, go ahead and do the housekeeping here and clean up this covenant.
The sewer line through there, that's a private line anyway, right?
Yes, until it hits the,
And this is gonna remain private, right?
yes.
You're not looking to turn it over to the town.
As well, correct?
Pardon?
The road is-
Yes. Yes.
Just as a matter of procedure, there's a letter in the Form E1, does that have to be signed and sealed by a PD? Signed by SK Design, there's not a seal on it. Is this a recordable form?
It is.
It did, I don't believe it needs to be stamped, but
Never seen them
yeah.
stamp.
we never done them in the past, but.
I mean, just as
Sure.
a question of procedure, I was just wasn't sure if required a seal by SK Design.
Subdivider and not.
Signatures by SK Design, not by,
Right, we
Not by the
initialed- we initialed it for Alan Hirsch, yes. I believe, there's initials next to that signature.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
He's well aware of it, and we just,
Any other, Matt, you have any questions? Peter?
No,
No, I don't.
Dave, anything?
No, I'm all set.
So,
I mean, I would make the motion to accept the request for release.
I'll second it.
no. Okay. Any further discussion? Anyone, in the audience? No? Hearing none, take a roll call vote. Matt?
Aye.
Peter?
I,
Abe?
Aye.
Peg?
Aye.
Buck Donovan? Aye. Since we have a core full board, you're just spectating. So I believe we have to have a paper to sign off, don't we?
correct, the town should have their release signed.
Release? Okay. We'll get that signed and get it to you.
But you have my, I apologize. You have my email. If you can shoot me an email and or you have my phone, please let me know and I'll swing up, pick it up, and then I'll file it in the registry. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let you know very briefly on Erskine. There's plantings, there's curbing that needs attention. There's some backfilling along the curbing and the final top. Utilities are all there, operational, everything's working. But those items will be done in the spring and then we'll come back.
There's a few houses going in up there now.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think now.
Yeah.
3. I know, I can't correct. I think there's 3. But there's a lot of activity down there.
There is.
And just, I don't know if you've heard anything about it, but there was a sewer break probably 2, 3 weeks ago. And that's been, everything's operational down there.
They had some conduit breaks when they were trying to
Yeah.
That's another,
do it.
20 years, 19 years.
Grades have changed and yeah, everything's changed.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the Ag Commission. Good evening.
Hello.
It's yourself?
I'm chairperson of the Lee Agricultural Commission, and also with me are 3 of our 4 members of the Agricultural Commission. So if you want to introduce yourselves. No? So we have Caroline Young and Dave Harrington. And we wanted to come before you today to let you know that the purpose of the Ag Commission is to promote agriculture in Lee and to provide assistance to the boards. And so let you know that we are available for the site plan reviews and also to help you out with any other matters that you may encounter that are agriculture. And one of the other things we wanted to talk to you about or wanted information from you was about solar panels on agricultural land. We wanted to get a sense from you, like what the bylaws were with respect to solar and agricultural lands. Because one of the things that we want to do is promote agriculture and want to understand those bylaws.
Did you get a copy of them? Have you looked?
I haven't looked recently.
Just did. How long ago was that, Peter?
3 years, maybe.
Oh, 3 years ago?
About.
We revamped all
Yeah.
of it.
I think it was about 3 years ago. There's a table that shows, depending on what zone you're in and what size installation you want to have, what your requirements would be. Some of them can be done with no prior approval, just done by right. Some of them require approval.
I think we had a recommendation in there also, and the state is following suit that they discourage using active farm property, right?
Mhm. The state, I think, has something
State does.
coming up right now, or it's in
Yep.
process.
In process for a while.
Read about it recently, though. It said it might, I don't know, gaining some more
Yeah.
that want to do that. I forget where I read that.
It's 9.12.
912, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So if you look at our zoning bylaws, 199, chapter 9, subsection 12 is our solar.
Sure.
I'm looking,
Is it? All that. There might be.
decommissioning, if owner fails.
Yeah.
Not much.
I don't think there's like a specific. There might be. We'd have to read it over.
But when you get into the commercial ones, when you get into that, you're into a more of a commercial, that would be a commercial, and that needs state permitting,
Okay.
I believe. So, yes, I mean, I'd have to go back through it.
It looks to me like something might be missing. I thought we had a table.
Yeah, I'm looking for the table. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe we should follow up and report back or provide the witness with a corrected copy of the bylaw if a correction is needed.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
But I know in it, we were discouraging using farmland for that.
I don't see that, Buck.
Not here. No, I don't see a lot here that we did.
I remember talking about that, and I remember feeling that my sense was that the agriculture community was mixed on it, that some farmers thought that farmland should be preserved just for farming, and others thought that generating electricity on their acreage was a great way to supplement their income on perhaps otherwise marginal farms.
I think, did we kind of come up with a resolution on that it will be special permit on something
Well,
that size?
Yeah, we had before this was enacted, we had trouble with a couple of big ones where
Yes.
things were not done quite right, or they were done in a way that had unanticipated problems. And so I remember having a discussion with the board members at the time, wanting to allow sort of easier access into this, but the board's sense was, unless it's just a rooftop or a small residential project, we wanted to do it with a review. And I'm not sure, but I think it was with a special permit review.
So
I
too,
thought so,
and in this copy I have, there's some stuff that didn't make it in here, or in the print copy. So, but anything of that size would be a special permit, which then there'd be a lot of input.
Yeah.
Or for approval or non-approval. So. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I do remember there have been some that were built in Lee, and today they would not be allowed. As Peter said earlier, we had one that was the location of things makes a big difference, and there's a certain weight to them, and sometimes on the other side of the hill, they can cause a great deal of erosion, which we found, and we were looking at different ones, and some of them that were built even on homes. I mean, that not on homes, but in the back of homes would be too big today by the current bylaw that we adopted. So I think we are right that it would demand a special permit if someone comes in and wants to build another huge solar array. And one did come in and
Look at 10.4.
and it did go before the Conservation Commission.
That's
we
it,
are.
Matt. That's it, Matt.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And said they did not want it. They wanted the owner to float an air balloon to see, because then you could see how far it would be, or who would see it, who would see these solar arrays. And the Conservation Commission was pretty strong on that they said no. So,
I think
There
we
are
might need to move that.
Well,
yeah,
there must have been a reason why we have it there.
I can't remember what it was, if there was one.
But
That's
10.4.
Yeah, the chart that we're
Yeah.
looking for, it's out of order.
yeah.
But most of our farmlands in CR, and you see anything.
Peter, are you getting that back? Are you getting that?
If it's blank, if it's blank, Peter, is that not even allowed then, or prohibited?
Well,
There's only a certain number of categories of types of solar installations. There's roof, small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
So every row should have all 4 of those items in one column or the other. So the first thing an applicant would do is say, well, what size is my project? Oh, it's medium. Then you would go and, for example, you'd say, if it's medium, then I'm going to look and see what my zone is. And if it's CR, then you discover that in the 3rd row and the first column, medium projects in CR are permitted without board review. But a large project in that same zone would require a special permit.
Here you go. This,
Okay.
it's the square footage of the panels is all laid out here. See, so like most of our stuff, CR or RA, and then they would need a special permit in any.
So a large array would not,
Not be allowed without a special permit.
oh, yeah, I see, okay. special
Anything
permit.
large, yeah, is a special permit.
I don't think we want to lose any agricultural land
But there's,
to a larger commercial project or a medium commercial project. There isn't any agricultural land left.
we don't have a specific zone that signifies just every lot that is being used as agricultural land. You know what I mean? We have zones around the town.
Yeah.
So like, okay, your farm is a lot of it is, well, not up by the road, I believe is in RA, and then behind it is in CR. Well, CR goes all the way through, all the way over to Lane Construction. You know, that's all CR up through there. You know, and you can't spot zone each lot. That's, you know, you have groups in the town. So this was a way that you do under special permit.
What's the solar array considered? Is it considered a commercial use, a utility use? Is it
It depends.
Yep.
It depends if it's going to be on your house, then it's a residential.
Yep.
if you're talking about large solar arrays on a piece of property, that's considered a commercial use or a utility, which might be governed by the state?
Some of it is, but
Yeah. I would say a large one is basic, depending on who owns it, maybe. I would say a larger one is commercial, but I think we have it covered in our zones to protect ourselves enough to maybe find that out through the process.
Yes, what these folks are asking is in a agricultural zone or an agricultural use, could a utility or a industrial definition of a solar array be used in an agricultural zone? Is that really clear here?
But it would be up to the landowner to do
Yeah.
that.
They actually could do it. Technically, they could do it.
Nobody's going to come in and make you turn your farmland into a solar field. So it'd be up to you.
You don't want it done at all.
Yeah, but we can't stop landowners for doing legal. We
Our
can't
gravel
stop
pits are the
landowners.
same zone, you know, as your farmland. I just don't. I mean, other than the special permit gives us some ways to control things.
I personally would never want to tell a landowner. I don't know this gentleman who's standing here. I know Buck, you do, but
Dave Carrington, he's on East Street, Carrington
yes,
Farm.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I would personally never want to tell him what to do with his land if he owns it, but if he can legally put solar on there and go through the special permit process, then we would have to hear that and decide on its merits. But, you know.
And if somebody came in, the Ag Commission would have their say at it.
And encourage it on farmland, which is.
I mean, depending on the.
Yeah.
Yes, Gail?
Okay, just briefly there is no way that you could, like, an intention for agricultural land? Like, for the solid waste, you have a section for solid waste in all these rules. There's no way you can have agricultural, or, designated agricultural land as with special criteria?
Not following you at all.
Like have, you have your zoning, but then you also may have some conditions on a particular type of land.
Right, you have our zones where, certain things are allowed or not allowed, but most of your ag land is in CR, which is conservation residential, and you also have houses there also. So for us to take all that land and say, okay, it's open, you can't ever do anything but agriculture on it. The people want to do, say, if they want to build a house on it for themselves, that would no longer be available. It'd be way too.
We're not interested in keeping houses out, we're interested in keeping solar panels out. Period.
I think that'd be difficult to say one thing.
We don't want them.
Is your land always going to be agricultural?
When I'm around, it will be.
What about after that?
I don't know.
And that's a tough one.
See if we can work it out so that we can keep the agricultural land that we have.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think we're talking about several things at once that are really quite distinct. I think, I'm not sure what Mr. Carrington is asking for exactly, but I think there's several things that I could say that I think might clarify it. One is that the town of Lee zoning bylaw does not prohibit putting any size solar installation on any land. It does require special permit approval in some cases. And it would be subject to the decision of the relevant board as to whether that large project could go in. But if you're concerned, Mr. Carrington, about protecting your land or anyone else's land so that it would never, ever have solar on it, you can put a conservation restriction on it, and some people will even pay you to do that. Is that what your concern is?
Concerned with the fact that there's virtually nowhere a young couple can go some land and start farming. There's left. It's all been used up over the past 50 years by the housing boom, and now it's the solar companies are raiding the area. People with a lot more money than farmers. So how do we keep the agricultural land that we have from being taken over by the solar farms?
So I think you might find that if we passed a zoning bylaw that prohibited the development of agricultural lands, in order to make that restriction constitutional, we would very likely have to compensate the landowners with a reduction in value that we enact through that bylaw.
Sounds reasonable, yeah.
So that's what land trusts do. They negotiate with farmers who want to keep their land in farming forever to put conservation restrictions on the land, and then to give the farmer the compensation for the difference between the value before and the value after. But I don't think you're in the right place to be asking for the town of Lee to do it just as a matter of, passing a law. We can certainly, in doing our zoning, I think, I'm just speaking for myself now, I think we can do better to make it a little harder to chop up farmland for subdivision. We can make it a little more difficult, and we can try a little bit to urge people when they're building housing to put it more closer to downtown and in developed areas. But we can't just pass a law that says all you farmers out there, no further development. That would be confiscatory and unconstitutional. In my opinion.
I think that'd be even tougher.
Well, you understand where we're coming from,
Yes.
okay?
Do.
Yes.
Yes. I do think though that if something happened with a piece of farmland, one of the things that the special permit, the board would have to say is that it's not changing the character of the neighborhood. And solar farm came in, I think I'm speaking for myself. I think it would change the character of the neighborhood. So there's five conditions that a developer would have to meet, and they're pretty stringent. When you change the character of the neighborhood, possibly some of your neighbors would come and say, you know, we're not, and the neighbors do make a difference when we like to listen to the people, the public, or the people that come, and your concern, I think, you know, your farm has been in probably since the beginning of.
Oh, excuse me, first of all, it has nothing to do with my farm.
No.
I'm interested in
And everybody's farm.
agriculture for the town,
Right,
the town of Lee.
right.
Just my observation that there's nowhere that a young couple can go and start farming.
Right.
I think we've been
So,
allows and doesn't allow. That's really helpful for us to know how we can proceed with our avenues such as like on the land.
Maybe the state of Massachusetts.
Well, we have,
The state rep, I mean, that happens.
but we have
up
our
at-
new, conservatory, right? That you're on the board? What's that? We just did. They buy up land,
The
community,
community
preservation.
preservation, yeah, something like that, maybe, I don't, you know, it might
They-
be, I don't
and
know.
also if you go into, 61A,
Yeah.
right? Once you go into that, there's options there. But, you know, it's interesting, Dave, you talk about farmland in town, and you got yourself, I'm thinking Pete Naveni, you know, Leahy's up there,
Mhm.
and you guys on Consolati Farm, and, not a whole lot else around town, is there?
There's a few more, but not.
Oh, yeah.
exactly what we're getting at.
You have, right, there's up on Golden Hill, right?
No, I was thinking
Stockbridge Road.
actually.
Yep. Yeah, Bartini's got his house on that.
Thank you for. We're explaining, you know, the different options.
It's all under special permit. There's a lot of restrictions on special permit, and that's kind of what we use to try to make sure something doesn't happen that we're not 100% sure on, you know?
Reviews,
Right.
like chickens and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, we got through that
We
one.
got through that. That's a good one, though,
And that we learned they want to redefine farm as like.
I think that's already been done, hasn't it, or not? Okay.
So.
And
Yeah, no company's gonna come in and make you put solar on your land. No, on your land. They're not gonna make you do that. So it's up to the landowner. Thank you. Okay, Peter, I think that was almost a segue into your master plan, wasn't it?
Sure, I'll be glad to report on that. We have not had a meeting for some time, but there's been a lot of work underway. Sean Regnier has been our sort of vice chair for putting together the forum. We're going to have a public forum on February 19th, I believe. It might be the 18th. It's Saturday of that week, and it'll be at the high school auditorium. And we're working out the agenda right now, but it looks like it's going to be potentially 2 hours. We don't really have a way to estimate how many people will be coming, but assuming we get a decent crowd, we're expecting to have the agenda include a presentation on what master plans are good for and what they're about and why we would have one. And then a kind of a technology survey, quick survey, about a half a dozen questions using cell phones, or for people who don't have cell phones, assisted by committee members, doing a kind of electronic voting thing on about 6 questions. And then there's going to be an open mic period in which we encourage people to comment about their values for the town, their hopes for the town, what they hope will happen for development or non-development. And we expect to wrap it up after about 2 hours. It also looks like the other subcommittee that we've had active is an electronic survey subcommittee headed by Betsy Strickler. And it looks like that survey item, which will be operated online, is very close to being finished. I had a lot of comments on the draft I saw last week. And I'm meeting with Chris Britton on Thursday, and with our staffer from the Regional Planning Commission, Chris Skelly, and perhaps others to iron out the last details. We're going to be sending that out for review by the Master Plan Committee, I think probably Saturday. And if all goes as hoped, the survey should be available to the public early next week. And if we are able to follow that schedule, we think that we'll be able to report on at least on a preliminary basis for those who have completed the survey. We'll be able to report on the results at the public forum on 18th or 19th, whenever it is. I think it's the 18th now. And we have a meeting coming up next week. Lots of things are popping. Our staffer, Chris Skelly, has been meeting with officers around town. There'll be meetings, or have been meetings, with police and fire, with public works, with health, and I'm not sure I can list all of them, but Chris Skelly is pretty hard at work gathering information. I still think that the master plan very likely won't be done until summer or possibly fall. We still don't have the 2020 census information, which is not a surprise. We knew that was going to be delayed until spring, but that works out fine because we're only meeting once a month approximately, and only for 2 hours. So the committee has to do a lot of work by sort of subcommittees and assignments of individuals and staffers. So it's proceeding. I wouldn't say we're proceeding on a wartime, schedule, but we're proceeding deliberately, and I think we have a good chance of completing our work in the summer or fall. I know Kathy was in the audience before. Is she still around?
She's still here. Oh, yeah.
I'd like to just give Kathy, as a committee member, a chance to supplement anything she'd like to add, if that's all right.
First of all, this is the first time I'm hearing that a survey is going to be available this weekend.
Yeah, it's coming to you. It should come to you on Saturday, I think, Kathy, for your review. And then the committee has.
Going out to the public.
What's that?
Out to the public. It sounded as if it was going out to the public.
No. Okay, well, I'll review it again. So right now, only a few committee members have seen it. Betsy and a couple others and me and Chris Skelly and Chris Britton have seen it. Chris Britton is acting like the recorder. He's doing all of this on his own computer. He's the whiz with this stuff. And as we make small changes, he enters them. So the last step with Chris Britton, as far as I'm concerned, will be likely Thursday, this Thursday. And then probably by Saturday, we'll be sending it out for review and comment by you and other committee members. And unless the committee members have a big problem with some part of it, it'll go out next week to the public and we'll start actually collecting data from the public. Is that clearer, Kathy?
Yeah, but that's gonna go out before all committee members are at a meeting to talk. So you're saying individually, we can contact people.
Well, yeah, what I've offered to do is if 2 or more members of the committee feel it is necessary to delay mailing out or publishing the survey until we have a meeting on it, I will delay the publication if 2 or more request it. And I've had different individual conversations with different members of the committee. Some thought we should never send this out until the whole committee has voted it. Others thought, well, we've seen something very like this 2 or 3 times already been handed out to us. And we have the opportunity, if we get it out soon, to have some input to the public forum in February, but not if we delay another while. So I've tried to find a middle ground, Kathy, in which I'm hoping that it'll be good enough that we can send it out without controversy. But if any 2 members of the committee so request, I'm committed to calling a special meeting to review it before it's released to the public.
Say that I don't feel, even though I'm on the committee, I don't feel I have a voice. It's awful to say because I'm usually a big mouth and have my say, but I don't feel I have a say. I had to email information to Betsy about something on the survey. I think that should have been something at the meeting we had. We weren't allowed to speak. I offered to be on that subcommittee and I was told no, it was just Betsy and.
Did I tell you no? I don't remember telling you no.
Yeah, well, I think it was Betsy that said no.
Oh,
I think it was.
okay,
So,
well.
I mean, I think it's important that everybody on that committee has a voice. And
Yeah.
I don't feel that we're having a voice.
Well, I think a lot of the problem, Kathy, is that we're only meeting once a month. And in this case, we're meeting with a 6-week lag, 6-week gap between meetings. We met in early December. Now we're meeting in mid-January because of holidays. So there's 2 issues you raised. One is, you know, how much work can the committee actually do? And I would say that I certainly want the committee's approval of everything that we publish. But if we're only going to meet for 2 hours a month, and then sometimes 2 hours out of every 6 weeks, there's a limit on how much we can get from every member, how much feedback we can get from every member. And the second point is, if you asked to be on the subcommittee that did this, I don't understand how you could not be on the subcommittee. All your questions are in the survey. There's like page after page after page about this park and that park, and it must have come from you. But anyway, why don't you stop in tomorrow and ask Chris Britton for a printed or ask Beth for a printed copy of the survey as it stands now. I found a lot of things in it that I didn't like, that I felt needed to be corrected. Not major things, but just alignment things, mostly editing. And so that's what I'm meeting with Chris Britton on Thursday. And I'm sorry if you feel like you've been excluded from this. And I want to try to bring you in as best I can. Do you want to attend the meeting that I'm having with Chris Britton at 9:30 on Thursday? I can't hear you.
I can make it, yes, 9:30.
9:30 with Chris Britton on Thursday. He and I are going to go over a list of about 30 items I sent him that I think need to be corrected.
And
I'm sorry, I can't hear. I can see your mouth moving, but there's no
I'm
audio
sorry.
coming through.
I will get the information from Beth on what's the survey so
Shut the
far,
doors.
so that when we meet, I have
Okay.
some idea. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
there was a PDF of the survey that went around last week, and that's what I commented on, and I'm sure Beth can provide you with a copy. If she can, I can. But it's not the final word. It's not the final word, okay?
Yep. All right, thank you.
It's a survey, Kathy. It's not a vote or anything. It's
I understand
data.
that, but there
No,
were
but-
things that were out of the survey that should have been in the survey. Okay, there were things, and I don't want to keep taking up time. There wasn't anything about ice skating. There was one little thing, but it wasn't in with the basketball and all the other sports types of thing. There was nothing, absolutely nothing about a community. So even though it got voted down, doesn't mean that it's off the plate, but it wasn't on there.
So
Well, I think
So
that's.
you're
Kathy,
welcome to email
I
me, because a lot of times, like Peter said, with doing only a few meetings, a lot of these boards, you stuff through email correspondence that way.
But you know what? As part of that, we should have a voice in saying, do we need more meetings? Or do we need 2 meetings that are 1 hour each? See how it's going, because we don't get to talk. I mean, it's just 1 or 2 people that talk. It's not individuals within the board that say, gee, let's look at this way, or gee, I'm confused about that. We don't have that opportunity. It's like, okay, we have an agenda and it's boom, boom, boom. I don't know.
Well, Kathy, I'd be glad to discuss with you in further detail these ideas, which I haven't heard from you before. If we need more meetings, then we can talk about that. If you need me to moderate in a different way, I can talk about that. But as I've said, this is the first I've heard that you're unhappy. So why don't you give me a call?
Sorry, but I didn't have the opportunity at a meeting to say how I felt because I was just shut off. So, sorry.
And I'd like a copy of that too, Beth, if you don't mind. Could you make me a copy of the survey, everything? Like Peter.
I also want to say that, and I don't know if this is something that's going to lead Kathy to be more unhappy than she already is. It might. The survey is very long. It takes, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think it could take up to half an hour to complete. It was 45 or 47 pages when I last saw it. And about 10 of those pages were all on recreational stuff. But, there's a sense that we may be close to the edge of taking too much time to complete it and thereby giving up people who are willing to give us 10 or 15 minutes, but who don't have an hour to offer for advising us. So there's a balance between brevity and completeness.
Right, I agree. I mean, if you're asking someone to fill out a 45-page survey, I personally think it's only 5 questions.
45 questions.
45 questions.
No, there's more. Well,
Could you email, or could I get a written copy of those questions? Is that a possibility?
and Peg, understand that it's being revised, okay?
Sure. Thank you.
I guess that completes my report, Mr. Chairman.
There was a question about when the next meeting of the master plan committee is.
It's on, yeah, it's the Thursday, the 19th. Let me just double check. We were going to meet, we try to meet on Mondays, but we have a holiday this coming Monday.
The 19th is a Thursday, yes.
Yeah, 19th at 7 p.m. Right where you're sitting.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks.
Is a monumental task, and I find sometimes things get, when written down, look better than everybody going around a room, but that's how it goes. Moving on. Discussion about our zoning amendments. We have split zone and dumpsters, basically, in a nutshell.
Do you have those before you, Mr. Chair?
Not in the printed. I have the email that you sent around. Does anybody? Oh, perfect. There we go. Yeah. Did everybody look at this?
I did look at it.
Any?
Back and forth with the.
Yeah,
language.
I think the language is looking pretty good now, Peter.
I agree.
Dave agrees. Peg, you have
I'm
any?
okay.
You're okay with it?
I'm okay.
Matt, what are you thinking? Have you looked at it?
Yes, I thought it was perfect, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
my intention was, well, actually just using 13.4. So that's basically what we pretty much did, except for, a couple clarifications in there. So it's perfect. I thought it was perfect. I'm good with both of them.
Yeah, how about the waste storage? Is
Yeah.
this all new?
I was happy personally. I was happy with both drafts.
Conrad gave me some really good input. I overlooked a couple things. I had overlooked the crushing equipment and a couple other things. And I think when Conrad sent me his final email, I think he said he still had some things he wanted to talk about. So we should give Conrad a chance to speak.
Basically, we went through 2 or 3 different drafts on this. So what we have here right now, I think is fine. It addresses all the issues that we talked about in split zoning, the definitions, how it's applied, of it, and the storage things, the dumpsters. Some of the concerns with the dumpster issues, any new application comes in, we can usually address the dumpster, the opaque fencing or solid petitioning around it, plus the gates. I think internally we had some discussion about existing facilities, existing commercial facilities that already have a dumpster out in the side yard that do not have an enclosure around it right now. So this was an effort to allow a timeline to bring it into compliance, I think, over the next 2 years, just so nobody has to comply with it immediately. But it did allow it to occur over the next couple of years.
And are we confident that we can do that and require them to, go back on them after they've already been approved by putting this in the bylaw? We'll
I'm not totally convinced that would be allowed, but maybe that's something you want to talk to the town council about, just to be sure. Just an example, I mean, if Citgo Station down the street as an example, if they've got dumpsters out front that do not have an enclosure around them right now. However, if they ever come back to you about another issue, another special permit, another planning board action, and then you want to condition that action with come into compliance with the dumpster provisions, I mean, that's fair game after that.
Gotcha.
I'd like to have town council see if we can make them required to come into compliance, because then everybody be on the same playing field.
Exactly.
Because we get a lot of pushback now with new applicants. They're like, well, so-and-so doesn't have to do it, and so-and-so, and you think about it, a lot of the DCBC, we have a lot of businesses that are not enclosed. that have been there forever. I don't see them coming into us for any sort of site plan, so.
It
Yeah, it'd
makes
be a
sen-
way,
Sorry to interrupt.
if we can legally do it.
It makes
I would-
sense. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry about that, Peg. A little delay. No, it just makes sense what Conrad was saying, that if they come in for some action in front of the planning board, that then we can add it on to that. So that would be the time to catch up. I'd be shocked if town council says we can get people to go ahead and do them now without coming in. But, I think it's all in the right direction. So I think it's a good idea.
Matt, at the risk of shocking you, I think if,
Yeah, I'll get you. Just
Okay.
a second. He's gonna reply to Matt, then we'll get you, Peg, okay?
Sure.
at the risk of shocking Matt, I think that what Conrad described is what we have been doing for a long time. When we get a case before us in those zones, we have regularly, or perhaps even always, required something like this of the applicant. But my motivation here is different. My motivation is that I think that that is opportunistic and a little bit unfair against the people who need approval and in favor of the people who don't need approval. And I think that after years and years of doing this way, I think we should either fish or cut bait. We should either say everybody has to do it or nobody has to do it. I don't think that it's fair to keep on just sort of knocking them down as they come before us. So if you just want to do what Conrad says, I don't think we should pass this. I should just keep on with the status quo. Conrad, am I missing something?
Well, I think, the idea of bringing everybody in compliance over a 2-year period, I think that's
Yeah.
it's worth it. But I think we have to have town council look at it, just check the enforceability of it. I guess that's where I'm going with it.
That's right. I mean, I think what we would be claiming here is that this is an exercise of the police power, that unenclosed dumpsters are an unsightly nuisance, that the town has the police power to prohibit, and that we are doing so in a cautious and deliberate way that gives people a couple of years to get it, to bring themselves into compliance.
Exactly.
I do think that there's likely to be a claim from somebody, I don't know who yet, but there's likely to be a claim that we can't do this. That, all laws previously enacted are all that we can ever do, or something like that, some sort of argument like that. And then we can never expand our requirements under zoning. And I don't see how this is any different from any of the other things that are in chapter 12, when it says, you can't do this, you can't do that. Those were brand new at one time too, and people had to comply with them. So I'm confident that town council will say we have the authority to do this, but I also agree that we should refer it to town council.
Okay, my question is, raise my voice, did he?
You have the floor.
Get
You
my
have the floor.
question in. My question is, I forgot when I read this now. I read it a couple of weeks ago, but you want an enclosed dumpster.
Right here.
Not a gate.
With a gate.
No, it's right here.
So now all the dumpsters that are enclosed have to have a gate.
That does not have an enclosed dumpster.
Any location that does not have an enclosed dumpster will have to have a gate.
Yeah.
If the dumpster is enclosed
If you
already,
come back for anything, then we make you enclosed.
Already closed already?
yes,
So,
okay,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Okay,
That makes me very happy.
and there it is right there with it.
Thank you. I
Okay.
just wanted to make
Matt?
sure.
Matt, you got your hand up?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say thanks to Peter and Conrad for working on this. And yeah, I kind of agree with the theory of fish or cut bait, and the unfairness. So I'm for it. I'm willing to go for it. I think it's we're making a stance in a way to and we're looking to beautify our town. So I think it's a good fight if we need to. So I'm on board. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, guys.
Yeah.
So I guess we turn this over to town council now and see if we can get a reply.
Intent of putting this on the warrant.
The warrant for this
You're gonna
year.
have to have a public hearing.
Yeah. Boy, do we dare do a public, yeah, let's go ahead and schedule a public hearing.
For the split
Maybe.
zones and this.
Why don't we wait till we get,
Yeah,
get town
yeah, we
council
better hear
first,
from him,
and
then
then-
we'll
hear
have
from
a,
town council before we
Yeah.
start a fight.
Yeah.
Mr.
So-
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, before we settle on a bundle for this year's town meeting, Beth and I were talking the other day, and she mentioned that she's getting a lot of inquiries about Airbnb. And I didn't know if that was something that the board wants to try to discuss in time for this upcoming town meeting. If so, Beth may have some reporting that she could do tonight about what she's found.
what, from where, what do you got? Go ahead.
Well, we were talking and I'm getting daily phone calls about short-term rentals in our bylaws. And I don't really have anything. Well, I researched some other towns like I did with the last set.
Yeah.
To see what I can find in their wording, but it's not easy to find.
I mean, we've been down this road and I've looked into some of it. So my question is, your inquiries are, I'm guessing like Matt has said, where people are wondering what the town has in place, right? Okay. Not necessarily that we need to do something about them, just what,
No.
these are people looking to,
People are looking to, and then I did have one business owner, which I'll forward you, he emailed and said that Airbnbs were taking away business from his business, and so he would like something to press about it.
yeah, which he's probably advertising on the platform also. So that's a tough one, you know?
The North Adams just did one. Did you read it? Read theirs? North Adams just, or they think they are, it was in the Eagle, a big write-up about theirs.
North Adams is struggling with it, Great Barrington. is
Yes.
struggling with it.
Great Barrington
Yeah.
did one,
Well,
which,
they
and
did
boy,
one.
they,
And Lennox did one.
that took on a life of its
Right.
own.
And North Adams, though, had some interesting ones.
I mean,
In there, I thought.
I mean, I gotta disclose, I'm within that world.
So
So
you-
I see a lot of the issues that go on, and I'll tell you, the biggest issue I see is when owners are not near their property. That's
I
the
agree.
biggest thing.
I agree.
Absentee.
When they're absentee, when they live here and they're renting a place in Sedona, Arizona, and there's problems, and they have nothing at stake because they don't live there. So,
That's right. I agree with you, Buck.
I mean,
That's the problem.
I started doing some stuff a few years ago when we talked about it, and I think that was, in a nutshell, I came up with like 5 regulations that it had to go through the town. Everybody's already paying taxes on it.
Mhm.
We paid,
Right.
you do room tax, you have to file with the state, all of that is already done. Just
And
to,
Airbnbs you do?
already, oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah,
How
you
about the
can't,
lodging taxes, are they,
yep,
oh, there is a
Yep.
lodging tax applied.
yep, the town lodging tax. Yeah, you can't even go on their platform unless you have the state number,
Okay.
so.
Oh, it's funny you should say that. I was just talking about Beth, tonight before everybody showed up. And, you see this stuff in the paper,
Mhm.
and how all these controversies come up, and geez, Beth, do we have that kind of problem here in Lee? Because, it's not in my world. And, she mentioned that Peter said something about it. It just seems like the issues you're seeing in other towns, the fact that somebody takes a house, somebody comes into town, buys a house, turns around, sets it up as an Airbnb.
Only,
We're
yeah,
being remote landlord.
Yep.
It's not being watched or managed. It takes a potential house from the local housing stock and is put into in that environment. I'm not sure how the administration of fire codes, building codes, inspections, the kind of things that all lodging facilities have to deal with. Yet this isn't applied to Airbnbs. A B&B has to meet certain requirements with the building codes and fire
Yes.
codes. So again, I'm just not sure if that was an issue, that was a problem here in town. It seems to be in other towns, I just wasn't sure if that.
Well, I mean, Lennox made it a problem. Lennox definitely Lennox makes everything a problem.
Right.
So. But they, theirs was funny because theirs was driven by the big inns were protectionists.
Right.
So they got the town to limit it to so many days, which makes it pretty much not you're not going to bother doing it. And then what's funny, all those inns that complained about it, if you look right now on Airbnb, they're all using the platform.
Right.
So I'm like, and it's kind of like, it also is, because we talked to other people around, it's putting Lowe's next to home. Or you have AutoZone next to Advanced Auto. It seems like they just feed and build off each other. And I tell you, our experience is really, really good. The people that we have come in, I got to tell you a really funny one. We had people come in over Christmas and they got caught having dinner downtown, Christmas Eve snowstorm, and they were afraid to drive. They could not drive. They parked their car at the high school and walked to our house. It's a mile.
Wow.
It's a mile. They were from Upper West Side, Upper East Side of the city. No, but it had stopped snowing and the young couple, and they're like, it was such a wonderful walk in the snow. They're from New York City, so walking 10 blocks is not a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And they
Walking that hill must have been.
they had a great time. I'm like, I can't believe this. It's like, and the wife's like, oh my God, here comes a 1-star review. We're dead. And it's like, they loved it. We got them cleaned their car, brought them down their car their next day, and it was all good. But I'm like, they had
That's
a winter
good.
wonderland in the Berkshires, and
That's nice. That's a nice story.
I mean, between the room tax, I mean, I contributed, I think, close to $2,000 in room tax to the town this year. So we talk about tax base that we're always trying to increase. We can't forget that if we're going to do this. It does increase tax base and it brings people into Lee. Because in Lee, you were traveling, is there a motel you would stay at in Lee? In Lee,
Emily.
I think so.
Well,
I'd be,
some Airbnbs, I wish I hadn't gone to either.
I've done that, but it's usually I go there for the price.
Well, mine were in Europe.
Europe, Europe's different, but no, I mean, I'd be at a Marriott, a Hilton Garden, like.
I guess to Peter's question, I guess,
Should we start? Oh, I think I put him to sleep in my stories.
Peter, you still there? There something needs to be looked at, or is the codes?
Trying to unmute. I was trying to unmute. Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of issues. There's issues about fairness of codes. There's issues about the uses of our housing stock being made unavailable for people for long-term rentals. There's probably a half dozen other issues as well, but it sounds like the board's sense is that you do not want to do anything. Have I got that right? And I also want to mention, Mr. Chairman, that Matt has really patiently had his hand up for a long time.
Oh, poor Matt. You were here, we'd know you want to talk, but okay. What do you got, Matt?
Why do you always go after me? Peter's on Zoom tonight. I've been around other people who've been sick. Do you want me to come in there? Anyways, I just wanted to I've gone back and forth with this, and I actually do think we should do it, but I think we should. I just have some experience reading Otis's Airbnb short-term bylaw, and I think it's a good one to look at. I don't think it's harsh. It falls in line with Stockbridge's bylaw. they don't limit the days, but they just make you follow certain registration with the town, size of property. It was pretty good. It wasn't like, oh, you can only use it 120 days of the year or 150 days of the year. It did not have a limit of days. Now we could always change that down the road, but I think we should put something. I think we should put something on the record, and I don't think it would take much work if we Otis's bylaw. I think the manager of the property has to be within an hour and 30 minutes of an issue that's arised for contact, and they need a local person within 30 minutes for an emergency.
That almost sounds realistic.
So I think we should, I don't think it'd take much. We could almost, copy between Otis and Stockbridge. I'm not in favor of limiting the days. I'll be perfectly honest. For now, I think it's just too strict to do that right up front. But I think it's a step in the right direction to get some rules of the road on the record and show that we're doing something to maybe help out with the local housing market. I don't know if it really does, but at least we're trying. And I think not doing anything would be, I just think it's more important to do something. And so I'm on board to start doing it. And then I also think we should look at doing the housing, what am I trying to say? We call it the in-law apartment, the
accessory dwellings.
Thank you. Sorry. The accessory dwelling. So I think we should talk to town council about the storage dumpster situation before we schedule a public meeting. But I think we should work hard to get that answer quickly so we can schedule a public hearing. And then from now until the public hearing, work to get an Airbnb law in place for that public hearing, and maybe an accessory dwelling if the board thinks we can get both of those done in time. If we can't, then maybe just one of the two. But that's my 2 cents.
It's January. Hey, Matt, did Otis touch on recourse if there's complaints and violations?
Let me pull it up. I think I actually have it.
I think Stockbridge, if you have complaints, you get put on probation, and then you can get your permit revoked, which is a kind of interesting, that's a interesting good way to deal with it.
Was there any bylaw right now for that kind of thing? There's nothing there.
No, that's not here, not in Lee.
Nothing.
No, and that's the questions when people are looking to buy, especially second homeowners, because that's a way to compensate your
Or being proactive. It's not an amendment or a modification of existing bylaw. It's
be a new one.
a new, all right.
So to be fully, I'll give you an example. I have a current purchase and process with a buyer that is going to be using it as a source of, they're going to use it for their own home, and they're going to use it for some income. They're not going to mainly Airbnb it, but there are people that are doing it. So I don't think you can ever stop it. I just think it's good to put some basic rules of the road on the table. I'm just looking at it.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
I tell you, it's not a full income.
No.
You're not going to make a living doing it unless you have a few of them. So, doing one is not going to, like renting out your summer home, you're not going to make a living at it. So There's not one home. It's kind of, it's like owning an apartment building. A single family is not going to make money. A 3 or 4 family makes money. Yeah.
That's right.
Peter?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if I could volunteer to produce a draft for the consideration of the board based on Stockbridge and Otis.
If you look at North Adams too, Peter, there are a couple of things in North Adams that I thought were pretty good.
It's not Adams, it's North Adams.
North Adams, yeah.
Okay.
They just, about how far you live, like what you're talking about.
Okay.
And if it were in your own home and you could rent out one room or something, there was nothing against, it was pretty specific on certain things that I think people might like.
Well, that's pretty common. Everyone can rent a room out right now, so that's pretty standard, but,
Yeah, actually, we do have that in our bylaw. You
Well,
can
we
rent
had
out-
that. Some people maybe had 2 rooms and they wanted to rent them out, or it was an interesting,
anybody
Situation.
who owns their own home right now can rent out their rooms.
Yes,
right.
it's
But,
in our bylaw.
yeah, but you want to make sure everything is safe. Well, I don't know. There just was some things there that I thought were good, if you don't mind, Peter, saying you.
Okay.
So I guess my next question around the room, is everybody okay if I participate in conversation and I will be abstaining from voting on this?
I think you and Matt may both have to, right? Would Matt have to because he makes money? I mean, he just said that, I don't know. I mean, I think that,
Matt might be a disclosure, but I think
Okay.
I'm totally,
all right, okay.
I'm totally out.
I mean, I can
Yeah.
call, I can call the ethics to ask them. I mean, I'm in
Wish you
favor of
wouldn't.
actually, I'm in favor of actually putting a law on the books.
Well,
So,
I am too, so that's why,
Yeah.
you know,
well,
I
can
wanna-
Certainly talk, but you probably can't vote.
yeah. And my
Well-
opinion is, with people, and we've discussed this, Matt, that I even think the 30 minutes for a property manager is too far. So,
Yeah, I would like to,
I would like to keep everybody's voice in the discussion if we can, but I don't know what the state ethics rules are. Maybe you should, maybe you should both check with the ethics people.
okay.
you can. You can
yeah,
talk.
yeah, definitely.
Brings up the other question, if you have to recruit and he's got to
Yes.
recruit, you have enough votes, you have to have 4 out of 4, is that what happens?
Well, you're an alternate, so you could.
Well,
take it.
no, that would be on a special permit.
on-
We would
yeah.
have to have majority of the quorum to send it on to be put on the warrant.
So you'll need 4 out of 4.
3,
Oh,
Just need a majority.
So you
It
would
doesn't
have
have to
to
be a
take-
super.
you would
okay,
vote.
but your quorum would have to be 4.
3
3,
out of
Five.
5.
5.
3 out of 4.
No, I think our quorum
Quorum
of
is-
a 5-member board would be 3,
Three.
correct?
Right. Yes, we could check that out.
So
We
if you
could-
guys had
right.
3 voting members,
My point, is we got it covered, just in case.
yes, we have,
Just in case 2 of you got
because we're not the final vote on it. We just send it to the select board and then it goes to the warrant.
Just to follow up, Buck, on your question, Otis has for penalties, it's their bylaw is 1, 2, 3, 4 pages long, goes into a 5th page, a couple sentences. First offense is $100, second offense is $200, third offense is $300, and each subsequent offense, each day that a violation occurs constitutes a separate offense. So
Dismissal.
But no restriction on operation.
they don't. I'm not seeing it. That's the only thing they have on penalties is just those 3 items, first, second, and
Great.
third, and then what I read.
Just monetary, huh?
But frequent violations, you think there'd be a termination of permit or something?
I mean, if you think about it, how many? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, we can add to that if we need to, of course.
We have provisions already in the zoning about penalties for violation. We might want to change them, but I don't know that we have to say anything.
Oh, I don't know.
That's worth researching.
Yeah.
Peter, I'll email you this one right now.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we refer the draft 3 on split lots and storage to town council for advice on our authority, to the town's authority to enact this.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second that. Peter.
Peg seconds. Roll call vote. Peter?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Peg?
Aye.
Buck Donovan, aye. We'll send this along to town council. Like it.
Well,
Good.
what about the accessory dwelling? We've been talking about it and we've been wanting to do it. I think we should. I think we had, didn't we have a couple bylaws that we had for review?
Way back in that filing system somewhere, there's have you ever run across it, Beth? No. That was back in the Jamie filing days, so who knows where it is.
I don't know if it's possible for maybe Beth was so good pulling up those split zoning bylaws for us to get the conversation going. Maybe the same could be for the accessory dwelling.
I know Monterey has one. And I think Great Barrington, they did a tiny home. I don't know if that'd be adaptable.
They did a
Detached or
tiny
unattached?
home?
Detached.
All these will be detached.
I'll tell you, I've gotten a few calls on tiny home questions too.
So accessory
They're
dwelling,
common.
it'd be a
They're
separate unit.
Which is not allowed today.
No. you
Like
have to connect it.
even, and it has to be a real connection, not just a 2x4.
No, I went through this
You know
exercise.
where
You
there
did,
is
you
one.
did. You did. That's why.
You saw what mine looks like.
Yep. And yours is one example, and Gary Roof's where your design could have been so much different and so more beneficial for everybody.
2 months I had to deal with.
I know.
Go in town council over it.
Yep.
You finally, well, you see what mine looks like now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works.
You could have, but you could have, if we had accessory dwelling, your options would have been, it would have been detached. Your options would have been much more. And
Oh, yes. So this definition of accessory structure is for a detached
dwelling.
That's what we
2
think.
units on a lot? Or you're talking about multiple units for a lot?
No,
Just a
Two
second.
units.
just two. Just an.
Accessory dwelling, well, that would be our
That's part of our
discussion. Would,
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm asking that is, we were also talking about the last meeting, about housing density, increasing density. Is this a path to
I think so.
increasing density?
Mhm.
I think once
That's
we
what I
get the,
think.
yeah,
I think it.
That's
but I
my-
think once,
Yeah.
I mean.
once we see the master plan, I think they're gonna be stressing us to do some housing changes. And before we start talking about density and, multiple dwellings per acre, I'd like to see, we're gonna have the master plan in place to justify that. I mean, right now, we're speculating.
Well,
Which is kind
I mean, sorry, Conrad, little delay. Go ahead, Conrad, you go.
I'm going back to our discussion of last meeting. We were talking about density and number of units. And I went back to the zoning code just to read how it worked. Like an R20, R30 in residential building, you're allowed to have a single family or 2-family on a single lot. As long as they have water and sewer and, 20,000 square feet. So what happens when it says further in the code where you could have per acre under a special permit by the Board of Selectmen, not the planning board, but the Board of Selectmen. So on that same 20,000 square foot lot, R20, for example, or even R30, 30,000 square foot lot, you're allowed by right, single family or
Yeah.
but you could go as high as a 4-family on the same lot that's subject to a special permit by the selectmen. And I was kind of curious, has that ever been attempted? Well, there's somebody trying it and it flatly got shut down.
Yeah.
But there is a mechanism there that even today, you correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like there's a mechanism in the code right now, in the R20 and R30 zone, where you could have, again, the by right
Four
single or
family.
by right
Yep.
duplex, which you could buy for family under special permit. But you
I
never
didn't-
see them.
I didn't think we could have a 4-family in those areas. I thought 2-family, yeah, so I agree with you. There's a mechanism.
by
but
right.
By the 2-family by right. But in
Yeah,
most of the,
I believe multifamily.
most of the residential, most of the R20, R30s, I think 2-family, but right?
199, 9.2.
9.2.
Users
Okay.
requiring a special permit from the Board of Selectmen in accordance with 199, 13.4.
But what zones?
For R20, R30, RA, and RM.
Okay.
Would allow multiple dwellings subject to special permit requirements set forth in 199, 9.2, provided no more than 4 dwelling units per lot. And I just was wondering if that was ever attempted. Because I don't see it around.
You don't see it.
It seems like the code, there was a
Conrad,
mechanism. Yeah,
some years ago, a fellow came in who owns the, I think what's the former Methodist church on High Street. That's been under revision now for a number of years. And he came in and asked us informally about building a bunch of condos in the backyard of that lot. And I think we told him he couldn't do it.
Well, he wanted to do more than I think the limit
Yeah,
in that area.
right.
He might have wanted to do like 8.
I think he did. I think that's what I remember too, Matt. Yeah, but
Yeah.
so he could have done something, but he couldn't do it as much as he wanted.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a closest I remember to having somebody ask for what you're talking about, Conrad.
out in the Bradley Park area. I remember there's a vacant piece of property that, remember Isidore Goodman?
Mm-hmm.
Name, yeah, I've heard the
It was a
name.
big, yeah.
Yeah, he
Oil
was in
put
the real
him out
estate,
of
all kinds
business.
stuff. And he had a piece of property, and I think he went the path, he wanted to put a 4-unit on that piece of property on East Street. And I think he went to the Board of Selectmen, I think he got turned down. I'm talking 25, 30 years ago. It seemed like in the code, there's a mechanism to do that. I just don't recall seeing anybody
You don't see.
even attempting it.
Yeah.
Or maybe the rationale was, don't even.
Conrad,
try.
do you have if you look in our the attachments, what am I looking at here? I just had, I'm sorry. The appendix.
Table in the back there.
Density table?
Yes, the density table, and then they also have the multifamily table.
Yep.
Okay. That gives you a kind of an idea of what's allowed, right, too, also.
Well, it just refers to single family and 2-family, right?
There's a table that says table of, well, I guess that's dimensional requirements for multiple dwellings. Also,
But it does say 4, Matt. It does say 4 for residential.
it does, you're right.
And RA.
Yes. I was mistaken, that was only 2.
By special permit though.
Yes.
Right?
So
Yep.
So you could get 2 by right and 4 by special permit.
Bingo, right.
So I do agree with Conrad. It almost seems like we allow it already, but yet with the accessory dwelling, we make them attach it, which I guess in a way that a 4-family or 2-family would be attached, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
it's 2 different things.
That's 2
It's-
different things.
Yeah.
isn't it?
You're separate things. Also, I mean, our maximum you can do in a building right now is 12. No more than 12 dwellings. Any one building.
That's more in that's the
That's not residential though.
RM zone, right? Multifamily zone?
Development standard.
That's BM. That's our like CBC.
No, that's under our multi-dwelling, our multi-dwelling developments.
Give me a site.
Yeah.
19992K in development standards.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
But this really doesn't, this does not cover the accessory dwelling though.
no, not at all.
Separate issue.
That's
Separate.
another issue.
Separate.
Again, I'm just going back to the meeting we had. We were trying to look
Yeah,
at ways of increasing densities and how do you apply that in the code? Or do we already have it in the code? Maybe we just have to make adjustments to the code.
I mean, we do, well, what's the, I think where you could have it also. Where,
Well, I do agree that it, sorry, Conrad, we couldn't hear you, so I didn't know you were talking. I apologize. I still couldn't hear you. I see your lips moving, but I think the point is, and Conrad brings up some good points, that the intent of our lack of housing, I think the accessory dwelling really gets us towards that goal.
it helps. It helps.
Yeah.
I think also adjusting this 12 units could help because the only, say if something doesn't fall under OPLI, right, is that, I'm sorry, AROD. If it doesn't fall under AROD, you're really stuck at 12 units. Say if Price Chopper, if the building gets demolished and there's no building there anymore to base a AROD application on, and they wanted to build apartments back there, they'd be stuck at 12 units.
No, don't we have a separate bylaw to cover them on that?
Only AROD, I believe, because they're not 40R.
What did we put them in? It was 10, wasn't it? Subchapter 10, was it?
We passed an amendment that said that all the stuff that's in 40R can also be in the downtown area.
Yeah, we treated it as a 40R without the with one exception, I think.
That was when we had the argument about the tall buildings in the downtown.
Yeah.
Yes. So that one could be developed. But I understand your point, Buck, for sure.
Another issue, we were talking about the Greylock Mill. And you had like 25 acres of industrial and you had another 12 acres of residential, I believe it was. And just for the last, because we were talking about, geez, what could you do with that piece of property relative to housing and housing density? So just for last, I went to the industrial zone, and basically under the dimensional requirements, industrial zone, you can't have residential uses in a residential zone. However, under 199 4.2 J3D, industrial district uses requiring a special permit from the planning board in accordance with 199 13.4, apartments, lofts, and other residential uses are allowed in industrial zone. So there's a conflict in the code. One, in the bulk storage, it says you cannot have a residential use in an industrial zone, yet under 199 4.2 J3D, it does allow the planning board to grant a special permit for residential uses in an industrial zone. I don't know how you reconcile that in the code, but if the developer did come to us and want to do some residential development at the Greylock Mill, it seems like there's a mechanism for that event to occur.
Is
That
that
would be
area, I
wonderful.
thought that was split zone. Where the mill was,
It
the
is.
12 acres on where the mill was is industrial.
And the rest is residential, or 20, I believe it was. Right. So if somebody wanted to use part of the mill for residential uses, may or may not want to do it physically, but the code by grant of special permit by the planning board seemingly could allow that.
Yeah.
Although there's
For
bulk regulations say you
one.
can't, but this particular section says.
Well, I
you can.
think,
I think it'd be great.
I'm really trying to.
I mean, it
muddy up the
might-
waters here.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
I think anything with that mill might fall under A-Rod too, as a redevelopment.
There you go.
So then all your zoning can get tweaked a little bit.
Well, we
It's
need more
non-conforming.
houses. I mean, we need more.
Does anybody want to work with me on any of this stuff? I got Airbnb, I got ADU, and I got tiny home. There's 3 items to research.
Here.
Like I said, I do have I have insight on the Airbnb. I can talk to you on that, Peter.
Okay, okay.
I do have, I don't know. And I try not to be, I see the problems with the
What?
different forums.
Well, Buck,
Yeah.
the way I feel about it is you're the kind of Airbnb renter that we want. Someone who's there.
Agree.
And that's why I won't be voting on it either. So,
Yeah.
I do agree with
but
that.
I
too.
do see, and the forums that I read, you hear the horror stories and it's 9, I tell you, it's almost 10 out of 10 times that it's remote owners. Yeah.
I really think the short-term bylaw and the accessory dwelling is kind of two things that I personally think are important. If we had to leave the tiny homes till next batch,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just throwing it out there. I'm not saying what we got to do, but
I think
the accessory
homes are
dwelling really can help with the housing problem. So I think that's important.
Tiny home is an accessory.
Well,
it is, but they get into having them on wheels
Oh,
and all of that.
Oh,
And,
that's
and they kind of tweak the building code a little bit.
So maybe stay away from tiny
Yeah.
homes or continue with this.
Accessory dwelling,
Yeah.
they still would have the current building code. The energy, we're not stretch code yet, but they would still have to go with the current energy code. And
and you,
the fossil fuel thing is coming down the road soon because they're already talking about it across the state. So,
And furthermore, if we didn't think we had time to do even both of those, I would even suggest, the short-term bylaw can wait, till next year. I would rather do the accessory dwelling again it's just so expensive for everybody to live. I just think it helps the older generation on a fixed income, maybe get somebody in there to help pay for their property, or a family needs extra space. So I think that would be like almost number one for me, and the short-term bylaw number 2. But just what are you laughing at, Buck?
just came up with it, but the accessory dwellings can't be on farmland, can they?
for the chicken. Chickens.
Sorry, it just came to me. I couldn't resist. So,
Peter, I can help a little bit. I'm really busy. But I kind of would like to be.
let's,
a little helpful to you.
I'd say we've tackled bigger before in less time, so let's go for it.
Okay.
I mean, I
We'll
think
stay away from tiny homes right now. I
think the short-term bylaw, I think the short-term bylaw really won't be too complicated because we have a lot of examples out there that
Yeah.
we can take from. So I don't think it'll be that difficult, but just wanted to mention that.
Okay, I'll get to work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. And accessory dwelling, I think guidelines we've talked about before are a square footage maximum. And I think they still have to be within existing setbacks and all that. So,
Yeah. Yep.
Setback, I'm sorry, you go in square footage, or you go a number of bedrooms instead? And 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, but you could have a 4,000 square foot house with 2 bedrooms.
A typical 2-bedroom, 1 bath is 800 square feet, more or less.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
We were thinking under 1,000, I think is what the number we were thinking before.
And maybe,
Yeah.
you know, can't make it more non-conforming if on that's some of those that are already non-conforming with the setbacks.
Hmm.
Too late.
You know, like you get a garage within the 10 feet of a boundary. You know, I wouldn't want to disallow that because they're too close when if they don't exaggerate the non-conformity or make it worse.
So it's pre-existing non-conforming.
It still is. They'd still have to go through that process,
Okay.
even though that's an allowed use.
Yeah.
Would it,
Yeah.
and there again, would this be a by right, or are we gonna do a special permit site plan on these? Something to think about,
Accessory structure,
right?
I would think by right.
I would lean towards by right, be honest with you, because we don't want to make it more expensive for people to, but
And
you know,
and I'll be honest with Conrad, with the four rooms, I know there's been people that have considered applying for that permit, but just the temperature in their neighborhood, they know that it wouldn't happen. So,
I think by right is probably appropriate.
yeah,
If it's a existing building, it's pre-existing non-conforming,
then they still got to do the,
special permit on that, right?
yeah,
But if it's
Yeah.
completely setbacks, it seems like that should be reasonable.
just like building a garage,
Just
an
like a
accessory,
garage, yes.
an accessory
Yeah.
structure, accessory dwelling would be the same.
I think, I gotta have the copy also that it's gotta have town water, it's gotta have.
I
town
was gonna
sewer.
say, well,
Because unless you got a larger lot, and then you gotta comply with setbacks for wellhead separation from septic systems, that's another story.
do we
Because of the effluent discharges that are gonna be significantly more.
just put in, has to conform to Title V requirements?
yes,
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
because that'll catch it.
That's my bet.
Because
Okay,
if it's, you don't have the separations, it's, you can't build it anyway.
they'd be able to share a well because it's the same owner,
Share a well, yeah, because the yields on the well are gonna be.
and even share a system as long as the system is designed for the amount of bedrooms.
Health department approval of it.
Yeah.
Design.
I think that'll take care of itself. If they need to add a bedroom, they'll have to add an additional size to the septic system.
Yep.
Need some progress.
We go. Just when Peter thought he was gonna be bored over the
know.
winter. No, did we lose him? There he
Well,
is.
I got a week until Ollie starts, so I'll get on it.
Okay, a whole week. Good. All right, folks, one more motion.
To adjourn? I'll make a
That would be
motion to adjourn.
Second,
I'll second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Thanks-
everyone.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for all the work.
Thank you.